Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Well, it seems like the Americans have a little problem and the only way they can solve it is probably shooting down a Russian airplane, fighter jet. Because the Russians already let them know that if you come closer we're going to get your property down, like they did with a drone over the Black Sea. The Russian told the Americans, according to another article that I have, I'm not going to use it in this video. They said, well, don't fly your drones close to our, on the Black Sea. That's how the title is actually. Don't fly your drones over the Black Sea. I don't think the Americans will listen to what the Russians say, but the risk is the Americans are going to send some, I don't know, fighter jets over the Black Sea, and if the Russians are going to shoot them, then we have it. The problem is the Russians are doing the same thing over American military base in Syria. So the American fighter jets are flying over, and supposedly they're not supposed to. Supposedly not supposed to. What are the Americans doing? Are they going to shoot one down? As of now, they just complain. So I'm guessing the Russians don't give up at this point. First, there should be no, I don't think there's any legal basis for the Americans to have a military base in the sovereign independent country of Syria, which is as independent and sovereign as Ukraine, and we know that's sacred. But somehow Ukraine sovereignty and independence is sacred, which it is. But if someone are going to cut it off, that means it's not that sacred. On the other hand, we have Syria, the same. Its independence, its freedom, its sovereignty should be respected. Well, it's not. So U.S. has over there military bases. I don't know if they have only the one with about 1,000 personnel or not. And the Russians are flying over those. And the Americans are driving over, flying over. What are they supposed to do? Stay down. Oh, fuck, I'm guessing. So let's see this, this article. I have two of them actually, talking about this issue. One comes from the Insider, and it says Russian fighter jets are circling a U.S. airbase in Syria a week after a fiery confrontation between Russian jets and a U.S. drone over the Black Sea. Well, always this. What are you going to do about it? And the other one is this article from NBC News, and this is March 23rd. Russian jets have flown over U.S. base in Syria nearly every day in March. Well, stop crying. Do something about it. So armed Russian jets, have flown over U.S. military garrison in Syria nearly every day in March, violating a 4-year-old agreement between the U.S. and Russia and risking escalation. Well, don't send your drones. How about we start with that one? If you don't send your drone close to me, then and escalate the situation, and I will not escalate it further. But you can say, well, you shoot down our drone, so we can shoot down your thing. Well, we'll see. According to the U.S. General in charge of air operations in the region, Lieutenant General Alexus Grinkevich, Combined Forces Air Component Commander for U.S. Oh my God! All right, told NBC News on Wednesday that the most recent Russian overflight of At-Tanf Garrison (ATG) happened just a few hours earlier, and that Russian jets have violated the airspace roughly 25 times so far this month, compared to 0 times in February and 14 in January. I would like to know whose airspace did they violate? What territory is At-Tanf Garrison located on? Is that Syria? Then the airspace, I think it's Syrian airspace. So if it's Syrian airspace, and I know Syria is allowed 2 countries to be present in on its territory, and that is, none of them is United States of America, and one is Russia, and the other one, I think it was troops from Iran, and then they asked for Iranians to bye-bye. Iranians said bye-bye and left. That's last time I heard about, I don't know how many years ago. And only the Russians are legitimate, helpers, defenders, protectors. Like the Americans are the only protectors of Europe. But hey, the Americans don't follow what they preach. So therefore we have this, the Russians violate nobody's airspace because you're not supposed to be there in the first place. But hey, they start from the middle. They don't tell you that. And the agreement was between the Russians and Americans. The agreement was because the thing was already done. What they're supposed to do? Russians told the Americans many times, get out, you're not here legally. Sadat, Jesus Christ, what's his name? Assad. Sadat and Assad for me, I have them in my, I see them, but it's always so. Assad told them, get up. They don't listen. Why is that? Hey, why is that? I tell you why. Because the Americans are claiming a national security threat coming from that country. Therefore, they have the right to come over. So that means there should be, the same thing. If, let's say, Syria thinks that there's someone in the United States of America who could be considered a national security threat in Washington, D.C., they should have the right to come over and do whatever the Americans are doing. Correct? Correct, but we don't live in that kind of world. We live in a world where if you have this big, that's all that matters, and you can tell everybody that you're good and they're bad. And even though it's not really like that, all right? I'm not saying they're good and he's bad. No, it's a mixture of both. But let's go back to this little article where it is a substantial increase. Yes, it is, he said. They're regularly flying directly overhead of our units, and I've definitely directly overhead, as within about a mile, no more than a mile offset one side or another. While we got forces right there on the ground, ATG, said this guy, so it's an uncomfortable situation. What the hell are you doing there? We're fighting ISIS and keeping peace. The Russian aircraft include Su-34 jets. Some aircraft carry air-to-air weapons and others carrying air-to-ground munition. Weapons include radar-guarded and heat-seeking missiles and bombers. Oh, that's rusty equipment the Russians have, we're told. So why do you mention here? Well, they mention it like this here because they want to make a point. Oh, we need help. We got to do something. But when these guys, the Russians, are using Su-34 jets with all this in Ukraine, that's garbage. Anyway, so we have a number here. No, that's good enough. Let's go to the other little article here from this. And it says that Russia fighter jets flew over U.S. military outpost and outpost. That's a weasel euphemism for occupying a military base. That's why the outpost in Syria 25 times in March. Yeah, man, you gotta love these weasels. Russian fighter jets encircled a U.S. airbase in Syria dozens of times in March, potentially heightening tensions after a U.S. drone. Well, the heightening tension was you punching these guys in the face. Now they're going to say the same thing here as they said in the other article. So let me show you a little bit, or tell you. I'm not going to show you, I'm going to tell you how things are. So see that this is a ground level, okay, where the image is, ground level. This is nothing happened. I don't spit on you, you don't pee on me. All right, good. Now from here, someone does something. It comes over here, escalates. That's a drone. You bring your drone close to my shit, I'm gonna get up. You knew that, you got it. Now this is the escalation, the first escalation. Now these guys are crying and saying, no, actually the Russians are escalating. That means their little shit drops here, where there's no escalation, and actually the Russians escalated here. But actually we know that the first escalation was the drone, and this is the second escalation, if you want to say it that way, higher, with these armed Su-34s. So you see, that's something I did in my life whenever I was able to. If someone punches me, I don't know, one time, I'm going to kick him in the head 5 times. Okay, and if he kicks me in the head 5 times, I'm going to try to, I don't know, elbow him 25 times in the face. That's what it is. Why? Because I didn't do anything to you. They say, well, he responded unproportionate to my... Well, everything was 0 at the beginning, remember? You brought it up here, so why should I stay at your level? You're not dictating my level of response to you. Oh, I just punched you in the face. You should punch me 1 time in the face. No. Because I didn't punch you in the face, you punched me. So you're not the one dictating what is the escalation. I dictate what's my escalation. You already dictated. I didn't have anything. So you see, you have these weasels. Well, disproportionate response. Well, response to what? To your action. Your action was already disproportionate to 0, nothing. So why should I match yours? Did you ask me if a punch in the face is okay? No, you didn't, you just delivered it. So I'm gonna kick you in the balls 50 times right now. I mean, 1 is enough, but for the purpose of numbers, I had to make it that way. So this is it. What should the Americans do? Well, if you're a tough guy, we're going to shoot one down. That's what they're going to do. Otherwise, what they're going to do? They're going to start complaining. I mean, you already pushed it in the Black Sea, and they told you that's a red line. Want to shoot it down next time. Now they're doing the same thing here, and they say it however you want to take it. By international law, those armies, bases, outpost. That outpost is illegally deployed over there. So, you know what I mean? When the Russians were flying over, they're not flying over your outpost and your air base and your airs, blah, blah. No, because you're illegitimate by starting it. It's like someone comes, burges in your house, jumps in your bed, says over there, and then, I don't know, you want him out and say, well, can I get some water? Well, no. Well, I'm here already. I deserve some water. I'm part of the household. How did you get in here for the first place? Well, it doesn't matter. I need some water. I'm here in the house, so give me the water. No. You get out first. Or something like this, or comes in your house and goes to bed and you make noise and claims, hey, can you turn off the stereo? I'm trying to sleep here. Motherfucker, first it's not your house. Get the fuck out. Anyway, this is it, my friends. Probably the Americans will shoot down one or more, because otherwise they're just going to complain. And the Russians are going to escalate it and bring it closer and closer and closer. And what's going to happen? Hot war. Sooner or later. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.